Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chu. Today I'm going to record an audio version of a post that I wanted to do. But I've been typing all day today and I'm just tired. So I am going to do this post via audio. Um, First, I wanted to talk about that spiritual hangout we had yesterday. And you guys probably saw like posts today all over the empowerment page and also the Hmong intuitive reading. So I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but I do want to come at it from this angle, which I don't think me or Angela touched on much, and that is I encourage all of you listening to this to start your own little like spiritual hangouts. I know that many of you have contacted me and commented on the post when I make the announcement of a spiritual hangout or a spiritual retreat, and the difficulty for you is you live too far. You can't come and meet with us, and we can't meet with you. So we've been trying to work on this, like I guess technology with the Facebook Live. And yesterday I brought my laptop. If you guys saw the little video clip that Angela took, you see that there's a laptop in front of me. The reason why I did not use it was because the area we were in, it was very loud and there's a lot of traffic going in and out of the shop. So I decided not record, but not to do the Facebook Live option. So I apologize for that once again. Okay, next time we will try to reserve a room where it's much more quieter and less distraction, so that we can have an actual Facebook Live session where you guys can join us and share your stories with us via Facebook Live, or ask questions, and we can get to those questions. Okay, but going back to the whole creating your own little spiritual hangouts or retreats, I would suggest you guys do that. Find some people that is around you that's not too far away where you guys can meet up at a public place, or if you're comfortable going into their home or letting people come into your home, that's fine. Whatever's convenient and feels comfortable to you. So do that, because as you've read the post from me and Angela, it's very powerful when you get together with other like-minded people, whether it's spirituality or other people, any other passion that you may have. Because when you get together, I'll just try to stick with spirituality here. When you are around other folks who are spiritually opened, um, and who have been doing this for a long time, it's nice to just get updates from people to say, here's our struggle at this time, or here's what I am struggling with. Because the other gifted folks that are at these hangouts or retreats, they can assure you and find a way to assure you that, hey, that's normal or not normal, whatever the situation may be. Um, but it's nice to just hang out and be around that energy, that positive energy. And for sure, we felt that yesterday. Um, and I want you guys to all feel it as well, because once you feel it and after you leave these spiritual hangouts, you do leave having more questions about your own issues, your own spiritual developments, and sometimes you will leave with like answers. So everybody's a little bit different. It's always refreshing to hear new people that come to these hangouts and hear their uh, journey, how they started, where they are at, and where they want to be, with their spiritual development. So please, I really mean it when I say this. If you guys can get together with some local folks, they don't have to be Hmong people. They don't have to be all men or all female. Although, as some of you might know, I want to hang out with a lot of guys more. In this spiritual context, because a lot of these spiritual retreats and hangouts, it's mostly girls or females that go, and then here I am, the only guy there, and yeah, sometimes it might look creepy. I'll admit that because I look creepy, right? So If you guys can get together with some folks that are spiritually opened and spiritually like-minded, then please do. Okay. Um, what's next on my agenda? I have it on my phone here. I actually typed out a little agenda of what I want to talk about. Oh, and here's the next topic I want to talk about. I want to talk about labels. And I'll tell you guys this. We are afraid of being labeled, right? That we're crazy, we're nut jobs because we claim to be able to speak to spirits or dead people. We can see the future, the past, whatever, the whole, you guys know what that is. So we're afraid of those labels, and a lot of us are afraid to own that piece publicly or privately. I should say publicly and privately. And we're afraid because of many reasons. And it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to stay anonymous. But at the same time, as you are afraid, that comes with, you know, that's because of fear. That's because of your ego. That's because of your pride, your reputation, and saving face. These things that I just mentioned, they're like the huge barriers of your spiritual development. Um, think about like, why are you afraid of people knowing that you're into this stuff? Is it because of the media's mind control and brainwashing and ridicule of this type of phenomenon? Is it because mainstream science says that people who claim to have the sixth sense are cuckoos? And how much of that have you bought into? Like being labeled that. If you think about it, no matter what you do in life, whether it's personal or professional, people are gonna label you no matter what anyway, right? I mean, some people just only want to see you fail. They only want to see the bad things, and they try to dig up only the bad things about your character to discredit you. That's how the world works, unfortunately. And of course, I'm being general here, okay? Um, and think about it. Just think about, why am I afraid to own this publicly? This is probably why you are stuck where you're at. You can't move forward to really um, be more accurate in the messages that you are receiving, and then your readings are not as accurate. Your message is not coming in as accurate because you still have this fear of people judging you. Just sit with that for a little bit, okay? The guides know that you and the spirit realm, they know your fears, they know the barriers. And so when you demonstrate that type of behavior, that you're still afraid of people associating you with spirituality, being spiritually gifted, they see that, and then because you're still afraid of that, that's why that's why they don't want to, or they're very careful about sending messages to you to help others, because they know that if I send you messages, you might be very reserved on how you're going to pass on that message depending on who's around you at the time. Or what if we pass on a message to you to give to like a a medical doctor or somebody that's a public figure that is very important to you? What if we pass a message on to you, but you're so afraid that they're going to look at you like you're a nut job, and then you don't pass on the message when you're supposed to pass it on? So just think about those scenarios, okay? And I get it, okay? Some people are, they have quote unquote prestigious jobs, okay? I'll tell you this: of all the years that I've been doing this work, I've had many people from all walks of life. We're talking about like people who are doctors, lawyers, public officials, and then I've had people who are like clan leaders, even other gifted people, shamans, psychics, whatever you want to call them. And then I've also had people who are uh, very low on the social economic status that come to me, right? So they come from all walks of life, different cultural backgrounds, and the ones that um, make me most uncomfortable and sad are the folks who hold these high jobs, these high prestigious jobs. They come to me, but they want it to be very discreet. And again, I understand it, but it just makes me sad. It's okay to be that way. It's just limiting your own growth. Okay, so that's the point I want to drive home here. So when they come and contact me for a reading, like they're very, it's funny. It's almost childlike, to be honest. Like you think somebody who holds a high position, all of a sudden they become like a little child. They they look around. They start looking around to see who's listening in on these conversations, because I do my readings in public places, mostly. Sometimes I'll allow people to come over to my house depending on the situation. But anyway, when I do these readings with these doctors and lawyers, that's they exhibit the same behaviors. It's like, wait a minute, who's around us? Are there a lot of people here? And then they'll wear like hats and sunglasses to disguise them, and I find it comical to some degree. It's like, wow, and guess what? When they do this, they don't know that we, as spiritual folks or advisors, we come in there with no disguise, right? We go to these sessions being us. A lot of us have um, developed this "I don't give a fuck" attitude of what people think, and I think that's the most. Um, I don't know, like you feel so free when you don't give a fuck no more about what people think about you. Okay, you just do what you do to make you happy, and you just don't give a fuck. And I love that feeling, Um, so yeah. Anyway, going back to the label part, right? So a lot of people they're afraid to be associated with spiritual advisors because um, it might taint their character, right? But if you look back in history, every powerful person that's ever took like office or position in a country or whatever, they've always had like a spiritual advisor. But because they were in that position of power, they were able to like figure out a way to um, like put this spiritual advisor behind the scenes so that the public doesn't know, because the media has done such a great job at ridiculing spiritually gifted people. So my thing to all of you is this: I understand why some of you are still very cautious of being associated in the public eye for being a spiritually gifted person or being around other spiritually gifted people. But at the same time, that is what limits your spiritual development and growth. Okay? And I want to make it clear here that I understand the danger of us being in public as well. There's attacks that can happen when we are out in the open. We're vulnerable to spiritual attacks, and also people attack, right? Attacking our character. And I'm not saying this to people who have been through that experience of being spiritually attacked because they came out in public. Okay, but I'm talking about for those of you who are so afraid of your reputation, so afraid of your ego being hurt or being judged, and your pride and your reputation, your face. That is what's limiting you from moving forward with your spiritual development and growth. So I'm not saying this to like scold anybody here. Um, maybe it might sound that way, but it is what it is, man. You know, you do what you gotta do um, to make you happy. I'll tell you guys this. I mean, I don't want you guys to think like, why is Chew talking all this shit? Like, he don't give a fuck and all this. I don't, but it took me a while. It took me a long time to have this mentality, to have this attitude of I don't care what people think about me. So I was at where you guys are too. For those that this is applicable to. I used to care what people thought about me being spiritually gifted, and it took me a while to just say, forget it. It doesn't matter what I do. People are still gonna judge me anyway, and that's not important. The important thing is to stick to the mission, which is to heal people. All right. Okay. The next thing on my agenda here I want to talk about was it's regarding a spiritual treatment plan. Like, what is it? So, a spiritual treatment plan is when you go seek a gifted person for advice and they tell you, here's what you need to do, or here's what we recommend. It's the same thing as like a medical treatment plan, but just in a different context, okay? So, when you meet with like a spiritual person, whether they are aware of it, like whether you both are aware of it or not, what's going on is the the reader is already listening to your symptoms, right? And you're already telling the reader your symptoms. And then the reader will make an assessment based on the info that they got from you and or from their guides or your guides or from spirit, whatever you want to call it. And then they make a prognosis, right? They tell you if this is going to be curable, or what are the chances of this getting worse. How are things going to turn out for you. And then they may give you a diagnosis, like, okay, you have demons attached to you, or you have a curse attached to you, or you're just I don't know. I can't think of another example off the top of my head, but you get what I'm saying, right? So they'll provide some type of a diagnosis for you. And when I talk about this in the spiritual context, there's nothing formally written about an assessment, symptoms, prognosis, and diagnosis. There's no. I'm just using this as an example because we are healers, okay? And medical doctors are healers too. So they have their own medical treatment plan, and as spiritual people, we have our own spiritual treatment plan. So when you are meeting and talking to a shaman or spiritual person, they will likely give you a treatment plan. Now, this treatment plan, it depends on whether or not you want to follow through. Okay, that all depends on you. What I see often is many people don't follow through. Like, many people. Maybe you listening to this, maybe you're guilty of it. Guess what? I've been guilty of it too. Like when I go see my doctor, I'm guilty of not following through with the medical treatment plan. So I'm not saying this to shame people. I'm saying that, look, man, this shit happens. People forget to follow treatment plans. But more importantly, if you don't follow the treatment plan, it's very likely that you're going to continue to be stuck in the situation you're in. So the reason why you came to a spiritual person is to receive help, to be unstuck, right? So that you can move forward to whatever the goal is. But if you don't do nothing about it and you're just all about that's interesting that you said that, or you take it as entertainment, then that's what it is going to be for you. It's just entertainment. But if you follow through, more than likely, things will start changing. Okay, treatment plans don't often happen overnight. There's a process involved, and a lot of people forget that. A lot of people think that, I saw Chu today, or I met with Chu today. He said, "Here's what's going to happen." He did a little spiritual cleansing. Hey, I'm cured, you know. No, most likely I won't do stuff like that anyway. I always tell people it's a process. Things don't happen overnight, and that's the honest truth. So please, when you get a treatment plan, do your best to follow it. Okay, just do your absolute best to follow it. Um, if you don't follow through, then it is what it is. Again, you will be stuck, and you're gonna continue to just hop around to other gifted people, which is strange in my opinion. Um, I like to call that. Now, I used to use the word psychic junkie, but I'll also use this. It's like a shiny object syndrome, where you meet with a gifted person, right, and then they give you a session, and then you hear about this other gifted person, and then like you go have a session with that person like immediately, or within a few days, and you haven't even like tried the treatment plan yet. So I want to give this. I want to be transparent too. Let me be the devil's advocate here. Okay, there are certain treatment plans that will not work. Okay, for some reason it just doesn't work, and that's when you hop around to other folks, right? So I want to be clear and just say, there's that reality out there. I don't want you guys to think, what kind of world is Chew in? He thinks every freaking psychic treatment plan or spiritual treatment plan is supposed to work all the time. What is he smoking? Yeah, I won't tell you what I'm smoking. um, all right, I got people texting me, so I just wanted to cover these things today, and thank you for listening. Stay tuned. There'll be more content coming out. All right, folks. All right. Bye now.